Well, hello everybody. Here's a surprise live video today. Just trying to find Wi-Fi in the area so that I can do videos for you during the lunch hour. So, a great question was posted on my YouTube channel, which is called Paralegal Career Mastermind. And by the way, there are hundreds of videos there for you to binge watch, take notes while you're watching those, okay? And absorb that info. And then ask questions. A good paralegal always asks questions. Hint, hint. Including during the interview. But I digress. There's 3 great questions in a comment on one of my recent videos during the last week. So, and while you're on here with me, feel free to ask questions. If I don't see your question, that's because Facebook won't let me see it till the end or later on. It's just strange like that. So, so let's talk about first paralegal experiences on my part, and here are the questions that were asked. Okay, how was your first experience as a legal assistant? Not necessarily a paralegal, although those are interchangeable titles in most states yet, okay? I hired on, quite surprisingly on my part, because as you know, a lot of you think that you can't hire on without experience, but you can. I hired on as a legal secretary, legal receptionist. It wasn't something I was happy about internally, but I thought this is foot in the door time. And that's exactly what it was. Where I was blessed was that there was a paralegal there, a very small law firm, 3 attorneys, 1 paralegal and me. No one else. So there was a lot thrown at me as far as duties. Nothing, for instance, when it came to filing, I just had to know how files were done. They were done alphabetically, but within each client file, how was it organized? That's what I had to learn. That was new to me, that part of it, not the alphabet. So if you know the alphabet, you'll know how to file, because we usually file by the client last name. Some law firms that are large use numbers instead, but very few that I've ever worked at use numbers. So that part of it was new to me, what was in the file, okay? How to answer the phone for the law firm. That was new, and that's important. I just had to always say the law firm name, of course, just as you would any place else, and say a company name. It was probably the best experience I could have hoped for. That isn't true for everybody, and this is such a rare thing that happened with me. After I worked in many law firms, since subsequently, over the 31 years, I know how rare this is, to have a paralegal who's already there working. And this was a new law firm. They had all left different places. That she was so open and helpful. I didn't always find that, okay? So this is why when I teach my students in the Paralegal Inner Circle class, I tell them, and I tell you all in many videos here on Facebook and here on YouTube for my YouTubers who are watching, that the more you can learn ahead of time, and I mean on the practical side, how do I help that attorney, the better off you'll be. Why? Because they sincerely, even if the ad says we train, that is not true, okay? They put that burden on another paralegal who sincerely does not have time. So when I tell you, learn what the paralegal duties are for that job that you want, and research that on Google, take that seriously, okay? Take it seriously. I've had people say, well, then how do we learn if there's no one there to show us? Well, that is a bit of the dilemma, isn't it? And had I not had her there, I would have felt like I was sinking because I did not know how to do any of this. But now and there was no internet. But because we do have Google and we have the internet, you can look up so much about paralegal duties in family law, real estate law, business law, workers' compensation law, so many things to dive into, dig deep, take notes in your trusty notebook, and then learn what each of those duties are and go for it. Okay? So don't expect to be handheld. I was handheld more in fast food or being a cashier in a supermarket than I ever was in the legal field. Okay? So don't expect that. My first experience was fantastic. But had I not had that paralegal there, it would have been hard. And it would have been hard to pick it up. However, I could have looked in other files to get up to speed, to understand but that would take a while. And it takes a while even when you do what I tell you to do and learn on your own. And you won't learn a lot of this in school or in a certificate program, I promise you. Promise you. So when you arrive in that first job, it will take you 2 months before you feel that you're starting to get it. Excuse me, guys. And how long before you feel that you kind of know what you're doing? 8 months to a year. You know, it depends on what type of law it is, what area, what practice it is, what area of law, okay? Any fearful experiences for the first few months? There's always fearful experiences in this type of work because there are things we don't know how to do and puzzle pieces that aren't fitting together here because it isn't shown at the law firm or government agency or corporate legal department because there is almost zero training. So the more that you can learn ahead of time, the more confident you're going to feel, and the more that you will feel that there are no puzzle pieces missing in the everyday duties. That's why I tell you to use Google as your BFF. There's no excuse not to, okay? Fearful simple fears, like when somebody asks a question on the phone and I don't know the answer and I feel embarrassed and I feel, I don't feel that way now, but I feel if I was going into a new area of law, it would be like starting from scratch, but not quite, okay? Because every area is so different. But I would just have to ask. I did a lot of walking. I felt like I was wearing the carpet out between myself and the paralegal. And they were willing to hire me with zero experience. Now, why were they willing to do that? They save money. But then I was expecting a raise at 6 months, which was, promised, and I did not get it. And so it was time for me to move on. I moved on into a bona fide paralegal position in personal injury. Was that easy to do? No. Because here I was in a new area of law I had no experience in. So I had to look at what was done in the past in the files. I had to study. I had to find, there were no books that would really give me that info. There are now about personal injury by lawyers. And there might be some by paralegals. Oh, those are the books you want. When a paralegal writes a book about an area of law and what the paralegal does in that area, oh, those are the books you want. So not the lawyers are looking at it from a different perspective. They're not looking at it from the managing of the case. We manage cases. as paralegals. We deal with the clients. We have to juggle a lot of information. There's a lot that we have to handle. And it's multitasking to the nth degree. Now, the last question is, did you experience any difficulties in your projects, and did your colleagues help you? When there were, in the beginning, when I had having never done a subpoena for records or subpoenaing a person to appear, when you're not working in an area of law where you have worked on subpoenas, then I had to learn how to do that. And so I had to learn how to do it in a nanosecond. How did I learn that? There was no internet to show me. There was no one to call. But we were renting office space with other attorneys in a big office building, and on the same floor were other paralegals who had experience with this. And I did occasionally go to them to ask, how do you do this? Is it embarrassing? Of course, but have to, use so much humility. And yes, it's embarrassing not to know this. However, you have the blessing of the internet and finding out how to do these things so that you don't make a mistake. You never guess. Guessing or assuming is a huge mistake for the paralegal. So you want to do it correctly, because you have to contact people, process servers, or the sheriff's department. All of this has to be done correctly, and they'll know if it isn't. So you don't want to have egg on your face, and I'd rather have egg on my face and act very humble with another paralegal than giving the sheriff's department the wrong type of document filled out incorrectly, and wasting their time, because they're going to read me the riot act and not be happy with me. I'd rather a paralegal give me that advice, but I can't waste a lot of that paralegal's time during the day. They're not running a school, and they don't have time for that. That's why I preach to you. Learn all you can before you start sending your resume and cover letters out. The practical side of doing these documents, knowing what to do, understanding the rules, how to research, all of that is the practical side. Some of it is not taught anywhere except by me, okay? So that's why I do these videos. Now, can you go into this field without any fear at all? No. I would say, if you think you're not going to be fearful going through and learning, then you're mistaken. Everybody feels that fear that starts this career. Everybody. If I were to go in an area of law that I had not worked in ever over 31 years, and there are many that I have not worked in, I would feel fearful. And I would make sure the attorney understood I have no experience in that. They probably would already know that. But because I do have trial experience, I've worked trials, that's made my career flexible. So they'll hire me in other areas of law. But boy, I have to work hard to come up to speed, just like you have to do when you start out, just like I had to do. So where was I deficient? I was deficient in legal terminology. That's why if you go to my, for my Facebookers, if you will go to my YouTube channel, right as soon as we're done, Paralegal Career Mastermind, and just look at the latest video from yesterday, and look in the description box, and you will see I think it's the last link, and it will be a template that it's not a template, a pamphlet that is for legal terminology. I think that's what I have there. That was very helpful, and I had a small dictionary, but that pamphlet is great And if I was starting all over now for the first time, I would carry that pamphlet with me in a notebook and be able to, if an attorney used a word I didn't understand, I would look it up there or on the internet. Okay, so you're not going to know all the terminology. I certainly didn't. My English language improved by working in the legal field. I came from a family of immigrants whose English, my father didn't speak English well. He was raised by an immigrant dad and his mom, but his mom was born in the U.S., but and her parents, my great-grandparents, were all from Europe. So the English language was a little like this in my family. And by me working in the legal field, I upped my game when it came to my English, okay? It was not perfect when I went in. It was not. So, and a lot of my friends could say that too, given their background. One of my best friends' parents were from Poland. Mine were from Germany and Italy and Ireland. And people from Ireland didn't have the best grammar either. So that's where I was deficient slightly, and I saw it. I saw it when I heard people in the legal field speak, and they were using words I'd never heard before. So I'd been in that position in the past. When I worked for a chemical company, I had never heard any of these chemical terms, so I had to learn that. That's like another language, okay? And learn how to type it and spell it, all that. I didn't know the filing within the file itself. Of course, I know the alphabet, but I didn't know how you file in the legal field. Answering questions, it's knowledge that you gain, but you cannot give advice to anyone as a non-attorney. Remember that. Bury that in here. Sink that in here. You are not an attorney. Don't ever give advice to someone, including your family, even if you know the answer. I've advised my own family they need to see an attorney because I don't know these answers. Even if I do, I don't play attorney, okay? Let's see, where else was I deficient? I had good, rock-solid computer skills, but on the Macintosh. And no one in the legal field was using a Macintosh. Only design firms, like architectural firms, were using the Mac, or graphic design firms. We were using WordPerfect, and then everybody switched in the 90s, mid-90s in the law firms, to Word. Okay, so where was my deficiency? I actually felt like I was going backwards in how to use a computer because I went from a Mac, which was very advanced, to an IBM PC. And I had to learn an archaic way of working on a computer. There were no pull-down menus. But WordPerfect itself was so powerful and way ahead of its time. So I did not know WordPerfect going into my first job. I had no idea what that was. I had trouble with it. I took a class in it at night at college in order to get ahead of it while I was working. So where are your deficiencies? The more that you overcome those deficiencies, the more confident you'll feel. What are the paralegal duties in the area of law that you're interested in, or that there are jobs currently advertised for? What are those duties? Have you looked in Google and dug deep to find out what that means? What do each of those duties mean? Because once you see the duties, then you look them up. Okay? If you can, take my Paralegal Inner Circle class and the Cover Letter Secrets class. Okay? It will help you immensely. Hold on, guys. I've got to get rid of this robocall. But overcoming the fear is easy when you gain the knowledge. Do attorneys balk at hiring inexperienced or zero experienced people? No, they are willing to. But what I'll show you in the cover letter secrets class is what that cover letter should look like. And it's probably nothing like you've been putting out there if you're already sending them out as beginners. You'll go through, and you can go to the paralegalcoffeetalk.com/blog, but then you'll see up at the top the menu on my website and look for the Paralegal Inner Circle class and read more about it. You can go through and read a whole bunch of information there, okay? First step is get the Legal Break-In book. If you can do the Kindle version, I would recommend that. And second step is do the Paralegal Inner Circle class. Third step is do the cover letter secrets class before you start sending your resume and cover letter out. Do that for yourself, okay? All right, have a great day. Any questions, comments, post them. If you have, and I haven't acknowledged it, it's because it's not showing up on Facebook while I'm on live, but it will show up later. So have a great day. Again, thanks for being here. Look through all the videos here, as well as on the Paralegal Career Mastermind YouTube channel. For my YouTubers that are watching, just look in the description box for the Paralegal Resources Hub link. For Facebook, scroll down and find that picture. It'll say Paralegal Resources Hub. Sign up. Lots of free goodies in there. For both, look at the link for the Paralegal Career Secrets Black Book. Again, no charge, complimentary. You need to download that PDF. There's a link on Facebook. You just scroll down, and also on YouTube. Look in the description box, okay? Have a great day, and I will be back. You have questions you want me to answer, post them, okay? Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.